measurement, which is on money. Money is very wide, and we start teaching money in class 6. So in class 8, there are few topics which are introduced. One of them is compound interest. So we have money and then compound interest. When we start learning on compound interest, we are supposed to remind ourselves on what we learned all through, because maths is spiral. It goes around and it builds from one topic. So in class 6, we learned profit, we learned loss. In class 7, we learned we introduced simple interest. And now in class 8, we are coming to compound interest. So you'll find that in simple interest, we learned on principal, we learned on rate, we have the time. So we use these terms when we are calculating also compound interest. The simple interest is for the time that you are given. And let us be very careful when we are reading the rate at which we are supposed to pay. The rate here can be per month, so we should know that, per month, or per year. So we are supposed to note that, per month or per year. In compound interest, we do it per time given. It is per year. You calculate the interest per year. But in simple interest, you'll find that you calculate for all the years given. If there are 3 years, you take the principal, which is the main money that you are depositing or you are withdrawing. Remember, principal is the money in the financial institution, banks or cooperatives. When you go and give your money out, put your money into an account, you are putting the principal. When you are given, you are loaned the amount of money, that is also principal. So you'll find that the first amount you deposit or the first amount you are given as a loan, that is principal. The rate is the agreed time that you are paying this money. Are you going to pay it per year, or you are going to pay it per month at the rate you are given? So we have the time. Is it in 9 months or in 3 years? That is now time. So when we come now to principal, it is accumulative. Compound interest, compound is accumulative for the interest in all this time you are given. Now, when I calculate compound, I'll still follow the same method given in simple interest. Compound, as we calculate, simple interest is equals to principal times rate, which is always over 100, and times time. So that is about the simple interest. So the simple interest here, we have it as the principal, the first money you are given or you deposit in a financial institution, and then times the rate, which is normally per cent or over 100, and then times the time given. So now when we calculate the compound interest, we are just going to follow the same. But if it is in 2 years or in 3 years, you cannot be given more than 3 years always. So we are going to calculate it in 3 years or 2 years. But you'll find that if it is simple interest, you can even be given rate per month. But in compound interest, it is always per annum. Per annum is the same as per year. So when we are calculating, for example, you are given that the principal is 30,000 shillings. The principal being 30,000 and the rate 5% per annum, then the time is 3 years. When I want to calculate the compound interest here, I'm going to calculate it just like simple interest, but I'll take it per year. So I'll have that 30,000, I'll multiply by the rate which is 5%, and then I'll multiply by the first year. The interest I get here, which is going to, I cross the 2 zeros, is going to be 1,500. That is the first principal. That first principal, it is at the end of the first year. If I was given this money at the beginning of the year, January, now at the end of that year in December, I'll have an addition of 1,500. That 1,500 now, because I did not take that money from the account, the following year I'll be having now my first principal plus that interest. So the money in my account is going to be 31,500. So again, I multiply by the same rate and then times my second year. So when I calculate that again, I'll cross that and then I'll have 5, 7, 15. So my second interest at the end of the second year, my interest will be 1,575. Then this interest now, this interest again, I add it to this second principal. So I'll add 1,575. I add that. Remember, this was the first principal. This is the second principal. Now I'm getting my third principal at the beginning of the third year. Of the beginning of the third year, I'll have that. I'll have 33,075. This is now the third year. The money I'll get in January in my account. So this money again, I'm going to multiply by the same 5% and then times the remaining year, the third year. And I get the interest. When I get the interest, no, I'm not going to cross, I'm just going to have direct multiplication where I'll have it as 5, 7, then 0, then 15, 16. So this is the money I'll have. Remember, I had not divided it by 100. So I'll have 1, 2, which will come here and give me 1, 2. So my last interest is 1,650 and 75 cents. So that is now the interest at the end of the third year. When we say compound, accumulative, this word, accumulative, means that I'm going to add all this interest, and then after adding this interest, I'll go and add it to the first amount of money I deposited or I was loaned in the bank. So I'll have 1,500 plus 1,575 plus 1,650 and 75 cents. So when I add this, I've added accumulative interest, which we said that compound means accumulative time for the interests. So I add that to get 5, 7, 5, then 12. This gives me 16, 17, and I have 4. So my interest, all my interest at the end of my third year is 4,775. 725 shillings and 75 cents. So this one now, I add it to my first principal. I add to my first principal, which was 30,000. So when I add it to 30,000, my first principal, I'll get 34,725 and 75 cents. So this is now called the amount. This is called the amount. Remember and be very careful. Am I asked for the amount or am I asked for interest? So if I'm asked for the amount, then I must take my first principal, I add it to my accumulative interest. But when I'm asked for the interest, then I'll only add the interest. This is a very confusing point because some of us, when we are asked for the amount, all the money that is in the bank, you only calculate the interest. So we must check out, look at the question. What does the question want? Does it want the interest or does it want the amount which is in the bank at the end of the 3 years? So at the end of the 3 years, I'm going to take my first principal, I add it to the accumulative interest to give me the amount. But when I'm asked only interest, then I'll only add the interest and then I give my answer. Thank you and welcome again and again, and I hope that you've kept safe at home. Thank you.